politicians who don't understand that we need more domestic supply of energy flowing into our hungry markets. You know, they're living in la-la land, and we're in a world of hurt if their agenda continues to be to lock up these safe, secure domestic supplies of energy.
Tell me about the world of hurt in your judgment. The criticism of Anwar is, if this is what you hear from people in both political parties, but there's not enough to matter, it'll take too long, and it won't impact the price of oil internationally or gas at the pump. How do you respond to that?
Well, it will impact, in a positive sense, the price of fuel eventually. We've got to start somewhere. Again, we've got domestic supplies sitting there underground. The reserves are ready to be tapped. And, you know, nowhere more than Alaska, Alaskans would be impacted by development in Anwar. And here in Alaska, our constituents, the people who live here, want it drilled. So that tells you, you know, that we have confidence in the safety and the responsibility that we'll see there with the development of Anwar. Remember, too, Larry, we're talking about a sliver of the coastal plain of Alaska being explored and drilled for oil. It's about a footprint of a 2,000-acre plot of land. That's smaller than the footprint of LAX, for instance. So it's not so grandiose an acreage that it is out of the realm of possibility for others to start understanding why it is that we can do this safely, we can have a small footprint, and not adversely impact the land, the wildlife that's part of Alaska.
What do you got up there around Anwar? Is it a bunch of big fat blue flies? People say nobody goes up there. Humanoids don't populate it. It's just the blue flies. I mean, I want to keep blue flies healthy. Maybe you can tell us about that.
Well, sure, we want to keep the blue flies healthy also. But again, it's a small portion of land up there. Alaskans understand that while we have these reserves underground ready to be tapped, you know, we want to invite safe, responsible development. We want those who can safely develop, we want them to compete for the right to tap those resources and start feeding these hungry markets.
I hear so many, Senator Obama says this, and a lot of Democrats say this, some Republicans. How long will it take, Governor? What's your estimate on this to start lifting out of Anwar?
Yeah, it's going to take at least 5 years, you know, and there are other areas of Alaska, too, that have the reserves that need to be tapped, certainly offshore. There's trillions of cubic feet of natural gas and billions of barrels of oil there, too, that need to be tapped. We also have a natural gas pipeline that is underway now, a process to get that constructed, where we can build infrastructure and allow known reserves of natural gas up on our north slope. It's already there. It's already proven to be tapped and flow through a natural gas pipeline. Our legislature is dealing with that issue right now, getting ready to license a company to build that gas line, again, to feed these hungry markets.
All right, so now you got another case where both candidates seem to be off course. Senator Obama wants a windfall profits tax on oil companies, and Senator McCain talks about obscene profits, which I regard as the near cousin to the windfall profits tax. What's your response to these criticisms?
Well, we just went through a process of making sure that the oil and gas resources that Alaskans own are properly taxed. And we just increased a tax on profits of oil companies up here because an earlier version of Alaska's tax formula had been corrupted by some politicians who are now in prison for the corruption. But we had to revisit the way that we were going to tax profits on oil companies. We just got through that, and it wasn't an obscene amount of tax placed upon them. In fact, it's driven more desire to explore and to develop with independent companies coming into Alaska. So, you know, on a national level, they're going to have to deal with that, but we've just dealt with it on Alaska's level, and we have a healthy valuation of our oil and gas reserves, and we're deriving healthy revenue for our state off that.
Well, are profits a dirty word in energy or other businesses?
Well, no, of course not. And low taxes, of course, we know spur the economy. And I'm a Republican. I